So this is just a straight up, pop rock song that I recorded many, many years ago. So first thing I do is hit play. So everything's panned to the center. A couple of things I do to start. So first thing we want to do is just figure out what the hell I'm mixing. So let's just about 30 seconds of this. See where we're at. Can everybody see everything okay on the screen? Hopefully sound good. He said you be a good girl. You said you follow through now. Well, I met you, welcome my world. Well, I guess you got something to prove. Forget what you say. Now, for starters, it's really hot. So what I'm going to do, first thing I do when I do a mix, I make a master fader, stereo master fader. And actually, one thing I'm going to do is also I'm going to take all the tracks, or I'm going to click on the all group. The all group will affect everything that I do. So I'm going to bring everything down a bit so I can have room to bring stuff up. Now, if I have the all group selected and I have a master fader created, it will do the same thing to the master fader. So I'm going to make sure to option click on that and snap it back to 0. Otherwise, I'll bring everything down twice. Got something to prove. So it's a straightforward, catchy pop song. Let's start mixing this. So I'm gonna start just kind of from the ground up. This is gonna be fast. I'm trying to get this done by 3:45, so I have an hour and 5 minutes. Let's see what damage I can do in that amount of time. So I'll start with a kick. I have two. It looks like I have two kick mics, snare, overhead, 2 toms, and a ride. There's no hi-hat mic because the drummer's so loud that there's plenty of hi-hat in the overhead, so it's nothing to worry about. Is that the PogChamp of the day? All right. Turn the pre-roll off. So I might pick one of these kick drums and use that instead to save time. Just because you record it doesn't mean you have to use it. That sounds pretty good. That sounds like a basketball. Let's get rid of that second one. Hide and make inactive. All right. Let's see here. Let's go dive into some more attack. The dark theme on Pro Tools. That comes with the newest version of Pro Tools. It should install it by default. And once you have that newest version installed, it's right under display under the UI theme, dark and classic. Note that you can't, if you change it, you have to restart Pro Tools, of course, because that's how Pro Tools operates. But so it comes with the newest version of Pro Tools. Yeah, it's nice and flat. I wish there was more contrast. I wish you could adjust the darkness and contrast because like you can on like Ableton Live and other programs. But hopefully they get around to adding that. But I like it a lot better. It looks a lot flatter, a little more contemporary for sure. Take some of the mid stuff out. But I definitely want to accentuate that attack. If I want to gate that, I'm going to go in and grab. So I have 2 plugin subscription bundles that I like a lot. I pay for it, so I don't get them for free. So don't think I'm plugging them and getting anything in return. But if I go to the Slate Digital, I have the Slate Digital Everything bundle. I've had that for a couple years now. That's a great deal. I think it's like $10 a month maybe. But it has a bunch of cool stuff. All right. So let me get rid of that. And let's jump into that Dynamics. Go to the drum gate here. I like it because it just kind of works. I don't worry if there's a little bit of snare in there. But if I got most of the stuff out, that's great. Now, one thing that I just got, which I like, if you like more attack, and this is there's a bunch of different companies that make a tool like this, but I highly recommend getting a transient shaper, a transient designer. If you go to Plugin Alliance, I have this. The Plugin Alliance is the newest bundle I got. It's like $15 a month. It has all of these plugins in it. A lot of console emulations, a lot of compressors, EQs, really high, all very, very high quality stuff. I'm going to grab this transient designer. Transient shapers are something I recommend pretty much anybody get. Want more attack? Just so you can hear what it does. Adds more of that attack in there. It's especially useful if you do all electronic music and stuff like that to be able to increase or decrease the amount of percussive transient that comes through. So I highly recommend any transient shaper. There's a ton out there. That's just my newest one. Let's go to the snare, top. Something tells me my gate's going to be very handy with that snare. Let me EQ it first. Now, one of your more important tools you can have, and you'll see me do this on damn near every track except for kick and snare, is that I will pretty much always, I'll pretty much with the kick and snare, I'll pretty much everything but kick and bass, I'll pretty much run a high pass filter on most everything. That helps clear up the low end. So if your mixes are muddy, just high pass filter everything that's not kick and bass and just kind of dial it up to where you hear it negatively impacting the sound. Then dial it up a little more. Add a little sizzle to it. Now, if you want to add more warmth to a snare drum, if you want like a little warmer snare, 250 hertz is like a good go-to like starting frequency for that. That's where that like most snare warmth is right at about 250 hertz. So I'm going to go in and add that same sort of gate to it. Plugin Alliance, not Plugin Alliance, Slate Digital. Virtual mix rack. Hit the delete button to get rid of the default on there. Dynamic. Let's grab the... Let's grab that gate. So I was making sure I was recording it. See if I can tighten up that snare a little bit. Now I could use this detection filter to get some of that kick out of that. So if I listen to it, that'll help it so that the gate only opens up on the snare drum. Man, that helps clean it up a lot. I'm going to compress it with this Arouser plugin. The Arouser is like the distressor plugin. Yeah, no, I was getting to that. I'm going to do a little bit of compression, like a 2-to-1 on it. A little much on the compressor. Now I'm going to go in and add that transient shaper again. So a little more, so I can adjust a little more attack to that snare if I want. So I can kind of constantly adjust that throughout the song. That's it, transient designer. Now, you'll see one thing I just want to check, because here at the top, he sort of does a build on it. I want to make sure that the gate's not chopping off too much of that. Yeah, so the gate's chopping that off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to take that mix rack. I'm going to open up the automation window and I'm going to set the bypass on automation. So I can turn that gate on and off. So I can just turn it off just for this section here. I'm going to select that region, go to my view. I'm going to switch it to bypass under my view. I'm going to switch to the trimmer tool, hit F6 for that, and then I can set it so that gate is bypassed. So you'll see this plugin is turned off just for that little section there. So that's what you do if your gates are getting messed with. You can just automate those on and off where it may need to be. I got a snare bottom. So I'm going to gate that, but I'm going to trigger that from the top snare. So I'm going to key that gate from the top snare. I'm going to just use the default Avid one because that triggers really well, like side chains really well. So I'm going to go in and just use that regular expander gate. Change the ratio, attack, range all the way down. So to key that, I'm going to go to send. I'm going to set to bus 1. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to right click and rename it. Call it snare key. Click it on pre-fader, so it doesn't matter what I do with the fader level. If I bring it up and down, it's not going to affect the gating at all. So you want to pre-fader that stuff. Set the key to bus snare key, which I just labeled as such. Click the key button, and here we go. And it's gated. I can adjust the hold and increase release time so it's a little more natural. So now if I have more of that sizzle in there, do a high pass filter on that real quick. I'm going to flatten a little bit with a compressor. That's fine. It's not going to be really loud in the mix, so. I don't know if I like it at all. Maybe just way down. Way down. Why is it snapping back up? Do I have automation on it? I have volume automation on. Oh, I do have volume automation on for some reason. Delete. Okay. There we go. Go with that. Let's start EQ with the toms. I have 2 toms. Now, the panning of the toms, I have to decide whether I want to pan it in drummer's perspective or audience perspective. With drummer's perspective, I have my higher tom on my left and the low floor tom on my right. Doesn't matter, no, but I need to stick with it. So my ride cymbals to the right, hi-hats to the left, tom 1, 2, and 3, and so forth. And I typically like drummer's perspective because it's better for air drumming. No one wants to air drum backwards unless you're left-handed. There's so much bleed in that. All right. Tighten up that head a little bit. So let's EQ that. I might not high pass filter toms because I always like the low end in toms. Get some of that attack in there though. Well, that low end back in there. I'm a big FabFilter fan. If there's like one EQ, Like if I could have one EQ for the rest of my life, it'd be that FabFilter. If I had one compressor for my life, it'd be that Arouser or Distressor. And I can grab that transient shaper and put that on there if I wanted to play with that attack a little bit. More crucial on the floor tom. The floor tom is usually a little bit deader. Let's see what's going on with the floor tom here. Let's just go to a regular floor tom hit. EQ it. Bring it up. Oops. Just turn it off. Floor tom. Bring that down. And that definitely needs some more attack in there. Yeah. On, off. Yeah, that makes it pop through a little better, doesn't it? All right. Let's pan those a little bit to the left with the tom 1 and then further to the right with the tom 2. A little further left here. A little more level. Fade on those. Looks like I did a shit job of fading these years ago. A little more on the floor tom too. I like toms a lot. All right, let's bring in the overheads because the overheads are going to affect the sound of all the drums. So I'm going to use a high-pass filter. Sounds okay. Now I do a ride cymbal mic a lot of times if there's a lot of ride heavy on the drummer's got like good ride sections, but I don't only add it if I need it. So if I want more ride, I could add that. Now when I EQ things, even if I pan something, I'll pan it to put it in the center so I can EQ it in the center. It's a lot easier. It can be so distracting if you're panning or EQing something that's always on the far side. I don't know if I like that or not. I don't know if that's helping. Just because you record it doesn't mean you have to use it. That's not hurt anything. Yeah, it helps. What?
I think some of us are wondering how you get the S-curve.
On the fade? If you select something and you go to hit fade, you have your choices there, standard S curve and different like parabolic type curves. So that's So I usually do an S curve. Now, in Pro Tools, you can use the F key to do a shortcut fade. If I hit the F key, it's going to do an S curve fade there. But what you want to do is you want to go in and under preferences, I think it's under editing, you can set your default fades for when you hit that F key in Pro Tools. So I have my fade in, which I have set to be an S curve. I have my fade out, which is probably an S curve, and an equal power S curve. And then your crossfade, which is an equal power curve as well. So that's where you go in to set the defaults of how you'd want your fades to act when you hit that F key. So I hit that F key, it's going to do that S curve fade on the beginning and the end. That make sense? Is that cool? Yeah. So if you're using that F key for a shortcut, you don't have the option. So you go in and have those set in the preferences however you want. But if you just hit Command F for fades, that brings up that menu to really dial it in exactly how you want it. Yeah, if I miss comments, feel free to chime in like that. I appreciate that for sure. Maybe a little heavy on the ride. Let's jump into the bass. Hear how that sounds. I wish I had more growl to it. I can maybe go through a bass cabinet emulator. I'm going to duplicate that, maybe do that. On one.
I think Seth was asking, he said, do you use the Pro-Q linear phase mode or do you just leave it as it is?
That's an excellent question. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about linear phase EQ. Those are more useful in mastering, and it's terrible for low frequency stuff, especially kick drums, and you'll find out soon enough. But when you're mixing, I typically prefer the natural phase. I think it's defaults to zero latency mode. If I want to go in and do natural phase, that's fine. But like if you look at the latency on here, so if let me drop on a different track here. Where it's the only thing on the track here. So with this zero latency mode on this track, in Pro Tools, if you want to see what the latency of your plugins are doing, if you hold down the Command key and click on that volume, it toggles between delay and peak levels. So you can check out peak levels in Pro Tools by hitting Command and clicking on that area. So volume, delay is 0. If I switch it to the natural phase, it'll have a tiny bit of latency, 320 samples. That's not bad. That's like, and Pro Tools does late correction as well. But when you switch to linear phase mode, watch what happens to my latency. Just the medium linear phase mode is a 5,000 sample latency, which is about 1/10 of a second. And then you can eventually go past where computers can handle. If I go to maximum, watch this. Boom. 66,000 samples worth of latency. That's 1.5 seconds of latency. So you want to use that specifically for mastering, but linear phase is great for a lot of things. But mixing a regular natural phase EQ is probably your best choice. And we'll dig in deeper as to why that'll be the case in the next 3 weeks or so. But that is a great question. But yeah, so I usually when I'm mixing, I prefer like natural phase or zero phase is fine as well. But yeah, that's one of the big questions that you'll know forward and backward why that's the case later on in the semester for sure. So let me see if I have a good cabinet emulator here. I don't know if I do. Native Instruments makes one that I've used before that worked out well in their guitar rig. Let me go to bass amps. Let's go to clean bass preset. See how that sounds. might be a good one to use. Let's compress it. I'm going to use the plugin alliance. So I mentioned I use, there's two bundles I use, a Slate Digital and this plugin alliance one I like a lot. Now, if you ever use an 1176 emulated plugin, one thing that you should know is that the attack is backwards, in that to the right is the fast attack and one is slow. Release is all the way to the right is a fast release, slower release. So keep that in mind when you're using those emulate 1176 or something similar to that. The attack and releases are backwards. Oh, I actually have a bass amp track. Gee, that was my problem. It may sound terrible. I like my emulated bass amp. Let's hide that one. One more attack in that snare. Let's add a reverb to it. So I'm just going to click send a new track. But yeah, if I do another Pro Tools thing that you want me to just describe, definitely let me know for sure. I'll call it drum verb. So if I make a new track that way, it'll automatically create the send and return for me. I'm going to command click on S to solo save it. And I'm going to use, and this comes with the Slate Digital bundle or the Slate Everything bundle. If I go to reverb, I'm going to use this Verb Suite Classics, which emulates a lot of digital reverb. So I'm going to go in here, grab 480, and rooms. I like the large chamber for drums. And I'm going to adjust the timing here. Let me bring the level up. So I'm going to adjust the timing in such a way that the decay is mostly gone by the time the next snare hits. Add that to the toms, option drag. Maybe a little more on the floor tom. And other tom, maybe a tiny bit more. All right, so let's go in. Now, when we retract this, we recorded everything digitally except for the drums we record on analog tape, which is like the best of all worlds. Let's bring the guitars in. right. You can see I tediously edited all those gaps in the guitar. So this is supposed to be a shitty sounding radio-ish almost guitar.
Is there any particular reason why you would edit out the spacing of the guitars
Instead of putting a what?
a gate off?
Sometimes, especially with distorted guitars, sometimes the noise is as loud as the actual guitar playing through it. And if I want, I just did that because I want a really tight, clean, super tight sound. So the noise could have been just as loud. I can zoom in and see it. I mean, it was literally 20 years ago when I did this. Yeah, you can see the noise there is almost as loud as the guitar. So if I wanted to really, I mean, I could have, but it would have taken more. Well, it would have taken more time, but I just wanted that really tight, super tight edited sound on there. So that I'm gonna narrow that down and notch it out a little bit, so it's not as. You find, especially on distorted guitars, that anywhere between 2 and 4K can be pretty shrill because that's where our ears are most sensitive. If you look at the loudness curve, the Fletcher-Munson curve. And so if anything starts hurting your ears in a mix, it's usually between that 2 to 4K range, and notching that stuff out can allow you to like crank up the music a little louder, have it louder in the mix without hurting your ears. Let's compress that. I'm just going to use I can play with some others. I have a bunch of, I have a few compressors on here. Might just play with a couple others, just ones I've never played with before. Let's try this SPL iron. I played with a little bit in the previous class. It looked pretty sweet. That's designed for mastering. So not what I want. Let's see what the mag does. Well, this looks kind of nice. Grab the Arouser, which is basically their plug-in version of the distressor. Well, I got that bundle, that Slate Digital bundle. It came with so many compressors. So we have a Kenny's pod guitar. Kenny used to be the guitar player for Panic at the Disco until a few years ago. He was booted out for bad stuff. Let's see what this thing's doing. Let's grab that purple one. I like that one too. So there's a percussion track I didn't bring in. Looks like I think it's a tambourine. All right. So if you're in the studio working with a band and the singer wants to play the tambourine, the answer is always no. Always no. Always no. If the drummer or percussion wants to play the tambourine, go for it. But for some reason, singers love just grabbing a tambourine and just sucking at it. So fortunately, the drummer played the tambourine. All right. You can tell because the timing's good. And since the drummer's playing the right at that point, I'm going to aim a little left. I can bring it way down, though. Or more beat to the center. All right, we got this guitar just labeled Metal Zone. Any of you that guitar players that have a metal zone pedal, which is legendary in its own right. Sounds like this. High pass filter that. So, I mean, as you can tell, this song was designed to have sort of that transistor-y sound. Let's see what this synth is. Let's see where that should go in the stereo field. To the right a little bit. Yeah, it fits within the guitar blend. I'm going to get all the guitars in. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to submix all the guitars together. So it's got a little. So you hear how that hurts, right? Pull that shit down. That allows you to turn it up. we got more tambourine. Until I did a shit job laying out my tracks that long ago. So we got 20 minutes, right? Should probably get the vocals going then. Let's start with the vocals. Again, this is my 1 hour mix.
Good girl, you said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you, welcome my world. Well, I guess you got something to prove. Forget what you say. I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so.
So I'm going to use an auto-tune on there. He's not crazy pitchy, but I just do it on a low setting here. I'm going to go pitch, shift, auto-tune. This is like a couple auto-tunes ago. Auto-tune is sort of like Madden in that I like come up with a different version every year, but it's just like a slightly reskinned version and expect you to pay more money for the same thing. It's just like Madden.
He said you'd be a good.
So the retune speed is how fast in milliseconds it corrects the pitch. So I leave it close to 100 milliseconds.
He said you'd be a good girl.
EQ,
You said
high pass filter.
you'd follow through now. Well, I met you, welcome my world. Well, I guess you got something to prove.
So when he's shouting, you can just hear it. There's a resonance in his voice that I'm going to duck out.
What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so. What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so.
A little warmth.
What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so. What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so. What you.
So I'm going to do a serial compression on here. So I'm going to grab the Arouser. One of my favorite vocal compressors here. Set it at 2-to-1.
What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so. What you say.
So I'm going to go into another compressor with the same settings. So I'm going to just adjust my level.
What you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb.
See if the soft stuff's.
Girl, you said you'd follow through now.
And then one more version of it. So I have three 2-to-1 compressors going into each other.
Girl, you said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you, come my world, and to see it your way. Ooh, I've gotta unexpand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say. You say.
Let's see. The advantage is that the one that I have at the higher threshold, like the first one, only affects the loud stuff. So it basically kind of creates, it makes it more. The end result is that it evens the whole thing out with sound, without hearing that real major pumping and breathing to it. What this first compressor is doing is that you can see it's barely touching this beginning. Oh.
You'd follow through now.
It's barely being touched here, but that first compressor is working on this upper frequencies, upper levels. And the second one, I go for maybe some of the mid-level stuff. So it's, and then the third compressor sort of compresses the whole thing overall a little bit. So it starts off like you get 2-to-1 on the upper, or you get 2-to-1 on the, actually you get 2-to-1 on the soft stuff, like 8-to-1 on the loud stuff. So it allows it to, similar to a knee in a compressor, like it makes the compression vary from 2-to-1 to 8-to-1, depending on how loud he's singing. You know, if it's hitting just that one compressor, it's 2-to-1. If it's hitting 2, it's 4-to-1. And if it's hitting all of them, it's 8-to-1. So that's basically kind of the way. Does that make sense?
You said
Cool.
you'd follow through now. Well, I met you. Come on.
So now the vocals, you can see it's very dynamic, but when you listen, it's pretty even.
So get what you say. I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say. You've gotta be so candid.
I'm going to add the special sauce now. I don't know how it's going to work in his vocal, but under this plugin alliance, there's a Noveltech vocal enhancer. If you want your vocals brighter, if you want it to cut through more, this Noveltech vocal enhancer is the shit. I'll show you some exaggerated settings. So
You said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you. Come on, world. Well, I guess you got something to prove.
So if you're doing pop vocals, R&B vocals, anything you need the vocals to kind of just pop out of the top, that's great for that. So
You said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you. Come on, world. Well, I guess you got something to prove. To get what you say.
now the downside is that also makes it more sibilant. So I'm going to go in and use a de-esser on there. Use the SPL de-esser. De-esser.
You said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you. Come on, world. Well, I guess you got something to prove. To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so candid to see.
All right, let's add a reverb to that.
Someone wants to know if the vocal enhancer is just a saturator or what's it actually doing.
It feels like it basically is creating it's boosting like the high frequency harmonics and just some of that real edge stuff to make it more, add some of that breathy, edgy stuff to it. So it may be saturating just like the high frequency stuff, but it's not like distorting it. Just basically adding like high frequency type things to it. So if I just turn it on and off, you can kind of get a better idea what it's doing.
Good girl, you said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you. Come on, world. Well, I guess you.
So it really makes it pop through. I mean, there's a bunch of different effects that do that, oral exciters and that type of thing. So that plugin is called the Noveltech Vocal Enhancer. But there's I can get you a list of plugins that kind of do a similar kind of thing. It's really kind of a must-have for like pop stuff.
To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get.
Let's make a vocal reverb, new track. Stereo aux input, we'll call it vocal reverb.
To get what you.
Solo safe it. I'm just gonna use a little plate on there. I'm just gonna go to the reverb. This is also part of the Slate everything bundle. This lustrous plates.
To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to
little bit
get
less.
what you say.
Also, don't be afraid to EQ the output of your reverbs.
But to get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so to see you.
And a touch of echo. I'm going to go a new track. Vox Echo. I got 10 minutes here, 12 minutes. So I'm just going to crank this out as much as possible. I'm going to use the Sound Toys. Sound Toys makes great everythings. But I'm going to use their Echo Boy. And my computer's make sure to turn the mix 100% wet because I'm sending it to it. I'm bring up the high cut, a little bit low cut maybe, and we'll set to ping pong. Ping pong.
To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so uncandid to see you. I've gotta unexpand my mind to get what you.
Now I use a delay like this. I like to set the level so that you don't specifically hear the delay, but you notice it when it's gone.
To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so uncandid to see you.
And another little bit of trick I'll do, and I'll use it really subtly in here. I'll call it vocal pitch shift. Is I'll use an Echo Boy as well, but stock plugins can do this. But I'm gonna use this little micro shift. I don't need to use the full version of it. And what this does, I'll mute the other effects on there so you hear just exactly what this vocal's doing.
But to get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so uncandid to see it.
Again, it adds a little more magic to the vocal to get it kind of pop out a little bit. So now.
But to get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so uncandid to see you. I've gotta unexpand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say.
Nice. Let's get all the background vocals in there. I should be able to crank these out really quick. There's going to be a lot of copy and pasting. Just get ready for it.
I've gotta be deaf.
Let's go to Antares Auto-tune. High pass filter it. I'm going to probably copy and paste these settings on all the vocal tracks. Background vocal tracks, so I can get done in 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Compress the shit out of it. I make a special space for the background vocals. New track. BGV reverb. Solo safe that. Let's do it just like a regular a small hall. I'm going to go to this reverb 2. Yeah, that is like that pitch shifting is very much like a doubler type effect. I'm going to grab a preset here. Medium hall. Yeah, good enough. Good enough for 5 minutes left. Group those, call those BGV verb. Group BGV verb. Or BGV verb. I don't know, just BGVs. BGV1, I should have called it.
To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so candid to see it.
We got another pair here. It goes down here. Come on. Group those, call those BGV2. And just copy and paste. 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 Option drag, option drag, option drag. Compressor might be a little much on it.
To get what you
Let's go to the chorus.
get to see it. Ooh, I've gotta expand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say.
Get that.
Get to see it. Ooh, I've gotta expand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say. Get to see it. Ooh, I've gotta expand my mind.
My delay compensation's not on.
Get to see it. Ooh, I've gotta expand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say.
All right, we got another lead vocal track. That's going to be easy. Paste. 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 Oh. Paste. Paste.
To get what you say. Correct me if you dare. Hey, you said you'd talk softly. You said you'd agree. Well, I bet you'd talk softly if you never, ever were talking to me. To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so unkind as you say. Ooh, you've gotta
Paste.
unexpand my
One more background vocal track.
Ooh, I've gotta unexpand my mind to get what you
That one sucks. That one's going away.
Hey, you said you'd talk softly. You said you'd agree. Well, I bet you'd talk softly if you never, ever.
All right, let's just listen to that. This is good enough as I'm going to get in the next few minutes. So let's just play a couple minutes of it. And that's my 1 hour mix. Just a few more vocal tracks to add, but here we go.
You said you'd be a good girl. You said you'd follow through now. Well, I met you, welcome my world. Well, I guess you got something to prove. To get what you say, I've gotta be deaf, dumb and blind, and to get what you say, you've gotta be so unkind as you see. Ooh, I've gotta unexpand my mind to get what you say, to get what you say. Hey, you said you'd talk softly. You said you'd agree. Well, I bet you'd talk softly if you never, ever were talking to me.
any questions I can answer in 30 seconds. But yeah, I sort of like kind of cranked through that. But obviously, I'd spend a lot more time. I'd do some a lot of fine tuning, some automation for sure. I don't have any automation except for that gate being turned on and off of the snare. But yeah, maybe we'll do some more of this kind of stuff later on if I have a spare day and we want to just do something completely different. But hopefully you got something out of this, and it's been a fun day. And now we'll be dead even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So let's get to start learning next week. I'll post this online as a YouTube video if you want to like go back and check stuff out. I'll make sure that you can check that out for sure. And you can also, I did one for the other class too. That's a completely different song, same band, but different song. So you can check out 2 different versions of my 1 hour mix. Yeah, Slate Digital is a lot of these. The newest one is that has that vocal enhancer is that Plugin Alliance. Go to pluginalliance.com. It's their mix and master bundle. I think that's $15 a month. That comes with like, I'll just click and hover over that. These. It has a lot of console emulation, so Neve, SSL, Focusrite, Lindell consoles, plus all of this shit. A lot of compressors, some cool EQs, and some interesting stuff. Doesn't really have any. It only has like 1 reverb, so you definitely need something beyond that. Slate has a couple of cool reverbs, a couple of great. Slate has a little bit of everything. The Plugin Alliance has a lot of like compressors, EQs, console emulations, a few special effects like you saw, that enhancer and de-esser, transient shaper. So it has a lot of cool stuff. Either of those are great bundles. I recommend them both. But other than that, yeah, if you have any other questions, you can just fire them away on Tuesday. So other than that, I will end this here, and you all have yourselves a great and safe weekend.